It is Tuesday, January 24th, 2023. This is another edition of Baseball Today. That is my man, Trevor Plouffe. I am Chris Rose, producer Dan, along for the ride as well. Happy Hall of Fame Day. We will get to that momentarily. Hope you had a nice weekend, my friend. You look good. You look well-rested. How you doing?
I'm not well-rested at all. I did have a great weekend. I partied this weekend. I had a bar mitzvah on Saturday. We had a big barbecue on Sunday. Then last night I went to this tech venture capitalist athlete dinner and met some interesting people. So I'm on a 3-day kick here, but
Wow.
I think today starts my time of rest and wellness, Chris. Got to get these bags out of my eyes. How you doing?
Well, maybe I'm fine. During the AMP portion of the program, I think maybe we're going to have to get into the tech venture capitalist athlete.
Let's get into it.
Explanation. I think we will. We will. And it's one of the many reasons you want to join us every day when we do this live on the AMP app. It gives you a chance to interact with us, spend half the time doing the show for the podcast and the YouTube audience out there, which we greatly appreciate. But then we also love mixing it up with our John Boy Media community. So why don't you start joining us on the AMP app if you haven't already started doing so. I am wearing an Angels cap because it is the biggest story that happened in baseball on Monday. Artie Moreno. No, I am not selling the Angels. I will be owning them in 2023 and beyond. If you are a Halos fan, your reaction is?
Well, Chris, I happen to follow a lot of Angel fans on my social media, and most of them were not happy with the news. You know, when we talked about this, when they first announced that he was an Explorer sale, we said, this is a done deal. Like, he wants to capitalize on this market, having Shohei and Mike Trout together, all these things. And it seemed like the Angels' moves in the offseason were leading up to a sale. And then here we go. Artie seemingly comes out of nowhere, though. I'm sure that most people behind the scenes knew that he wasn't really interested in selling the team. So I don't know where we go from here. If I'm an Angels fan, I'm indifferent about it. I guess I'm numb to it. Now, there's a couple of things you can point towards. Like, the Angels fans could have wanted a new owner that was going to come, spend like Steve Cohen, and maybe that would have happened. But I don't think payroll's really ever been the issue for the Angels. So maybe it would have changed there. I think maybe you would have got an owner that would have kept his hands out a little bit, let the baseball people do the baseball things. That would have been interesting. But ultimately, I don't know if it matters who's owning the Angels right now. I know they wanted somebody new in there because it just hasn't worked out over the last 8 years. I think they haven't made the playoffs in 8 years. I don't know where they go from here, Chris. I don't know what the recipe is to fix this team. We have these guys. Shohei's on the docket now. We better figure out what to do with this guy because we didn't trade him, and we got to try to extend him. I think that's one of the bigger issues with this whole thing is, what's Shohei going to think of this? Was Shohei hoping a new owner was going to come in, and was he going to be wooed by this guy to stay? And now it's already all over again. So we'll see how that goes. But I think you're confused if you're an Angels fan. That's what I am with this franchise. I want to like the Angels. There's a lot of fun players on this team. It's a great place to go watch a ball game. It's awesome. It's a beautiful stadium, but they haven't given us anything. And now this is it seems like to me more of the same in the upcoming years.
I think confusing is the right word to use. I think that's probably where I would sit if I were a Halos fan. And just as a baseball fan here, I think I'm a little confused. I think the excitement is that whenever you get the prospects of having a new owner, and particularly when you haven't made the playoffs in as long as they have, and have made it only one time since 2009, then yeah, you're like, oh my God, can't wait. Especially if it's a guy like Joe Lacob, who owns the Warriors, and his name had been mentioned that, and you see all the success they have up there and the amount of money that they spend up there and the fact that they got a new arena and all sorts of stuff. You're like, wow, you dare to dream a little bit. Really, if you're an Angels fan today, the Artie Moreno tenure will be judged on only one thing at this point: extending Shohei Ohtani. That is it. That's it. Because as great as Mike Trout has been, he has never been as big globally as Shohei Ohtani. I mean, he's been one of one. That's it. We've been blessed to watch Mike Trout, but he's never gravitated toward being the guy. He just wants to be the best player possible and then go watch his Philadelphia Eagles in the offseason and hang out with his family. And that's fine. Shohei is so much bigger than that. So really, that's it. let's be honest. Do you know that the Angels are going to have the highest payroll of any team in the American League West this year?
I mean, I know they've been a top 10 team for the last, decade. So I don't think that hasn't been the problem, like I said, but you're totally right. Artie Moreno, whatever you do with the rest of the team, you're going to be known either as the owner who kept Shohei Ohtani or let Shohei Ohtani walk. That's the bottom line, because this guy does transcend a season. He transcends 2 seasons. This guy is going to be talked about for the rest of time in baseball history. That's how big this is. And I know people may not understand that right now, but when we're sitting back in 20 years and we're talking about the career of Shohei Ohtani, it's going to be the 2023 season. Did he stay with the Angels, or did they let him go and he became, an even bigger superstar somewhere else? It's going to come down to this, and it's a massive decision. And I don't know if he can do anything about it. What can he do? Because the money, other teams are going to offer this dude money. So that's not it. So I don't know how you're going to convince him to stay.
Well, really, the performance of the team will convince him to stay. Shohei has to feel like, I mean, you have to imagine he's comfortable there, right?
Sure.
So, the fear of the unknown could be something that allows him to stay at a place like Anaheim. But if there's other opportunities and the team has a 75-win season, then I imagine it's see you later. But I think that's the way it'll go. Let's move on to the Baseball Hall of Fame announcement, which happens later today at 6:00 Eastern. Fred McGriff is going in via the contemporary era ballot. But how big a deal will it be if nobody else joins him in Cooperstown later on this summer?
I think it'll be absolutely just silly. I mean, that's what I think. I think that all these guys that are eligible right now that I'm looking at, that they're talking about, maybe besides Carlos Beltran, because we still have to figure out, how to deal with his role in the Astros scandal. I think that we really have to think about that, because that's a big one. But if you're talking Scott Rowland, don't people remember how good this guy was? It was incredible to watch him play. So I think he should get in. I think Billy Wagner should get in, no problem. I mean, Andrew Jones, go talk to ball players about these guys. They belong in the Hall of Fame. I don't think we need to keep the Hall of Fame so tiny and tight. Like, these guys, for an extended period of time, were the best players in the game. I think most of these guys should get in the Hall. The only one that's, to me, we have to think about and talk about, because his numbers certainly warrant it, is Carlos Beltran and his role in that scandal.
Well, my buddy John Paul Morosi came out with a tweet that sounds like Todd Helton is trending way up on Thibodeau's ballots, if you follow that sort of stuff. So I think it'll be a fascinating vote at the end of the day. As far as big picture here, I do want a bigger hall. Some people are very small hall people. They feel like that's the beauty of the Baseball Hall of Fame compared to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, compared to the NBA. I'm not as familiar with the NHL and the numbers that go in every year. But with the NFL, there's usually 8 new people. There's 5 on the modern era ballot. They stuff that thing. You can have a maximum of 5, and 5 make it every year. And then there's a couple of from like the senior committee and things like that. So there's always a group of 7 or 8 in the NFL. In baseball, last year it was Ortiz. In 2021, nobody was newly elected. 2013, nobody, except for 3 dead guys. That's not healthy for your sport. We're looking to grow the sport. It shouldn't be like, nope. You can't have this fictitious bouncer outside of the halls of Cooperstown going, nope. I mean, look at the thousands and thousands of players that have played. You're telling me there was nobody one year that was worthy of being in? Like, come on. That just seems like some people would just want to be assholes.
And you're totally right. We should have more guys walk around with that jacket, Hall of Fame members being ambassadors for the game of baseball, bridging generations, having grandparents tell their grandkids about these guys. I saw that dude play, and here's some stories. Then you get interested and you look them up. Like, there are so many things that we should be doing, involving our alumni that we don't do, and putting some of these guys in the Hall of Fame that are absolutely deserving is one of them.
It's interesting. First of all, you said a Hall of Fame jacket or something you said about that. in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, you get a gold jacket, right? We call you a gold jacket if you're a Hall of Famer. Would you like to see the Baseball Hall of Fame start something
Don't
like
they have
that
jackets?
where they
have
do?
jackets they wear, don't they?
I don't think so. I know like the St. Louis Cardinals Hall of Famers all have the red jackets.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking. And I'm thinking like the Twins Hall of
Yeah.
Fame. They all have like these blue jackets.
Yeah.
Yeah, get
It
some
might be a
jackets,
team
Hall of Fame.
specific. Yeah, I think that'd be kind of cool. And by the way, we have lost a significant number of Hall of Famers in recent years, right? Joe Morgan, Lou Brock, Bruce Sutter. There's been a bunch, Tom Seaver. So we have lost some of the greats of the game. And these weren't even guys in their 80s. You know, these are guys that passed away a little on the youngish side, some of them. And I think it's great honoring people. I think it's just such a touching moment. Like the two times where sports isn't about money, in my opinion, is when guys win championships. And I've had the good fortune of covering World Series and Super Bowls where life-changing moments for people. And then when they get in the Hall of Fame, I love that raw emotion. So I'm looking forward to it tonight. I hope there are at least two other people who join McGriff in Cooperstown. I would say Scott Rowland gets in. I think I'm going to believe the hype on Todd Helton as well. And I think that Billy Wagner is going to get in. I think that'll be interesting.
This episode is brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the NFL. And people, it is time. 4 NFL teams left, 2 conference championship games, and we got a doozy of a deal for you. If you're a new customer, you can bet just $5 and get 200 in free bets instantly. And even if you're not a new customer, we can do these stepped up same game parlays. You take your shot at an even bigger NFL payout and boost your winnings with each leg you add up to 100%. And all you have to do is download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code baseball today. New customers can bet $5 on the conference championships and get 200 in free bets instantly. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code baseball today. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details.
We talked about this last show, the possibility of the Minnesota Twins trading Luis Arraez. He did get dealt to Miami for Pablo Lopez and 2 youngsters. Did this trade make Minnesota or Miami more interesting?
I think a little bit of both. It was a good trade. We talked about it, and I think the conclusion we came to was if we were the Twins, we wouldn't do it 1-for-1. And they turned that down and ended up getting 2 prospects. So I think if you're the Twins, it was a difficult decision to let go of Arraez because he's, was a fan favorite. He does a lot of things really well on the field. It's really fun to watch him. And in the end, like, this is an entertainment business. But for a baseball decision, I think they made the right move going and getting Pablo Lopez, who can probably slot in as at least your 3, possibly your 2. And having him for a couple of years it's valuable. And when you want something valuable, you have to give up something valuable. You also get the prospects, which is cool. Like a couple of these, one of the guys was a big time amateur signing, and some of the scouting reports that I've talked to some of the guys at the Twins organization, they really like him. So I think for Miami, you get a dynamic hitter in a lineup that needs offense. I know what Jake mentioned on Talking Baseball, they kind of need slugging, and Arraez is not going to offer you that, but you also need table setters. So he's a guy that's people in Miami are going to love him. But I think as a baseball decision, even though Twins fans are a little hurt by Arraez leaving because he was very beloved there, I think as a baseball decision, it was good for the Twins.
Yeah, he is a guy that puts the bat on the ball, which I like. I think it'll be fascinating with the new rules this year in the shift, how much more it helps him, if it helps him at all. You mentioned that Miami needs slugging, and they didn't get that. Well, they're relying on guys they gave big money to last year being healthy and being productive, right? Jorge Soler and Avisail Garcia did squat. Yes. So if they're not back to what they paid for, it's not going to matter, this Arraez deal anyway. With that being said, I was talking this up with one of our coordinating producers over at NFL Network, Alex Maloney, who's a dear friend of mine and a huge baseball fan. He says, does Arraez coming to Miami actually make them significantly better? I said, probably not.
I think it does.
Probably not.
I think it does. Because they needed offense in general, Chris, not just slugging. They needed everything. And this guy, look, he's not going to be a huge OPS guy because he doesn't slug, but like when you he's a table setter. He's getting on base at a 375 clip. He's going to work at bats. Although one thing I did find interesting, Aaron Gleeman, who is one of the writers that covers the Twins for The Athletic, he put out, you'd think that he saw a lot of pitches per at bat, but he was kind of just right around league average at like 4 pitches per at bat. And there's several guys on the Twins that see more pitches per at bat. But I think what the difference is his contact rate's a little higher.
Yeah, but I think with all that being said, it's one of the reasons I would say it makes the Twins more interesting, right? I've mentioned this several times that Sonny Gray and Molly and Kenta Maeda are all free agents after this year. So this does give them some stability in their starting rotation for a guy who has a couple more years of control. So that's good. And I actually think the Twins have had one of the most fascinating off seasons, period. You know, they just added Michael A. Taylor yesterday, and that's a Gold Glover, you know, that will come in handy in part because of the way they have to rest Buxton. So all of that makes sense. A lot of the moves they have made this year have made sense. And keep in mind, you know, you might look at the final standings and say the Twins finished laps behind the Cleveland Guardians. Well, heading into September 1st, they were 1 game back. And then they stunk, and Cleveland was great that last month, and that's why you saw that huge margin. But it doesn't feel like the Guardians, the Twins, and the White Sox heading into 2023 are separated by that much.
One more interesting fact about all this is the fact that Chisholm's going to be going to center field and has declared himself the early favorite for Gold Glove in center field. So that's interesting. And then are we ever going to talk about Joey Wendell starting at shortstop for the Marlins? Like, is that going to work? Arraez and Joey Wendell up the middle. No offense, those guys are excellent ball players. That doesn't really seem like a middle infield that's going to kill it defensively.
Well, yeah, it means they better hit. And Miguel Rojas, you could say about whatever the year he had offensively, in part because of injuries, but that guy could catch everything.
Yes.
And, you know, it only goes unnoticed until the guy who replaces him can't catch anything. So we'll see. That's something where, you know, that was not a team that hit the ball. It's built on pitching. And you know better than anybody, if your pitchers don't trust your defense, that's a problem. But we'll see. We'll see. A lot of fan fests over the weekend. I loved seeing it. I love seeing the interactions where the ball players are all up on the stage and there's a lot of people asking questions. I fall in love with the kids that ask the questions. I think they're adorable. I want to focus on the Blue Jays winter tour where this adorable little girl asked the question and Vladdy gave the answer.
What team was the easiest to play this year?
Oh, Vladdy wants to answer that?
The Yankees.
The Yankees.
All right. So Vladdy's had a couple of those this offseason where he's kind of poked the pinstripe bear, if you will. All fun and games, or is there a little bit more to this perhaps budding rivalry?
I think it's all fun and games. I think Vladdy was going for the easy, you know, applause and laughter from the kids. They all know the Yankees. To them, the Yankees are, you know, the big bad wolf. So he went for that. And when you're on these fan fest tours, like you're just trying to have fun with the kids. You're trying to be a good dude. You actually saw Kevin Kiermaier like, hey, bro, you sure you want to say that right now? The fact is they weren't that easy to play last year. I think their record was 8-11 against them. Vladdy played okay in those games. I mean, he didn't play okay. He played really well. 833 OPS, and he had 5 homers in those games against the Yankees. So he enjoys playing them, but they got to get over the hump. You know, the whole like last season was a movie, or the trailer this season is the movie, and then this. It's like, I get it. I'm okay with shit talking, Chris. I really am. I think it's all in jest. It's not like super serious. But there comes a point in time where it's like, bro, like you got to do it on the field against the Yankees, and you got to win the division, and you got to get past them in the playoffs and all these things, or else it just becomes like, all right, that's enough.
Yeah, I thought it was fine. It doesn't bother me. It's cute. I found the reaction from some in the Twitterverse, including some people we work with, somewhat hilarious. Because I think they took it seriously. Like, yo, bro, shut your mouth. You guys went 8-11 against us. I'm like, they were just having fun at their little winter fan fest. Like, it's okay. I imagine, or I can't imagine that Aaron Judge and Anthony Rizzo and Garrett Cole are all sitting there saying, you see what fucking Vladdy said at Winter Fan Fest? Like, that shit doesn't even register.
You know what? Well, you know what? Okay. Well, Judge is off doing his like media tour now.
Yes.
Go
Yeah,
Judge.
right.
Like, awesome. Good for you. So it's not being really brought up now, but I guarantee during the year when they play the Blue Jays, it'll get brought up. Baseball players, you might not like react right away, but they hear these things. And in the heat of the moment, you use it, Chris. You take that inside, you turn it into a little bit of anger. And then Garrett Cole might be like, you know what? This heater in might go a little further in.
So wait a second. You're saying that Garrett Cole in a July matchup might roll back to a mid-January fan fest in Toronto where a little girl asked who was the easiest team to beat. Is that what you're trying to explain to me?
Not one particular instance. We just talked about this. It's been a couple different ones. And if it's at first you knock it off, whatever's pesting you, and then eventually you smack it, right?
Mm-hmm.
If it becomes over and over and over again, and if the Blue Jays win the first series, they get a little cocky. I don't think are they going to do the home run jacket? I don't know, but it begins to irritate you a little bit. Again, I have no problem with this, but I'm just telling you how people think, especially starting pitchers. Yeah.
You are petty little people, you baseball
anything
players.
Anything you can find, though, for a little extra motivation in July, you take it, Chris.
Okay. Win the fucking game. How's that for motivation?
Love that. I love that.
All right, last thing. More interesting little tidbit we saw out of the National League East. Johnny Cueto's entrance during his Marlins introductory news conference, which was flat out unbelievable, or Spencer Strider's impression of a public address announcer at Braves Fan Fest. For those of you that didn't hear it, here we go.
And now, the starting lineup for your Atlanta Braves. Led by the manager, number 43, Brian Snitker. Leading off, playing right field, number 13, Ronald Acuna Jr.
Pretty impressive.
I'm kind of over Spencer Strider right now because he just seems to be like one of those guys that's just really good at everything. He's very good at baseball. He can do what he just did. That was really impressive. He grows a nice mustache, so I'm kind of out on him. I like the Cueto thing better because I feel like he was like practicing for a Dominican Republic WBC championship celebration on the mound in Miami. That's what it seemed like to me. He's like, boys, we're going to be doing this. I don't know if is he on the team? I'm not sure. If he's not, I'm sure he'll be there on the mound with the flag. I like this. That got me fired up for the WBC. Watching Cueto do that with the flag. He had the truck out there, whatever. I'm fired up now.
Dude, how big is that going to play in Miami? That's going to be awesome.
That's what I'm talking about.
Who'd you like? I got to tell you, the Spencer Strider thing caught me off guard. At first, I was just kind of shuffling through Twitter, and so I was like, okay, well, I'll press play. And I was like, holy shit, it was good. Because he had the little, like that little part where when you're introducing, and here comes your starting lineup for your John Boy Media Blitzball team.
Ooh.
Right?
His was better, though. And you're like a voice.
I know.
Like your voice is your thing.
I know. Well, he has a specific mic and, the reverberation and all that sort of stuff. I'll come back. And hey, I already knocked that out of the park by singing "Oh Canada" at the floorball tournament.
Did. Your voice is
and to save those freaking 3 Canucks from the embarrassment of not knowing all the words to their national anthem.
That is very embarrassing that you don't know your national anthem. But Strider, he's got a cool name too. Like I'm just, sometimes I get sick of these dang people who are good at everything.
Yeah. Well, how do you think
sick
I
of
feel
myself
with you? Yeah. It is interesting. Every time I see Kiermaier in a baseball hat, it's crazy, man. You guys must have been mistaken for one another when you were down in Tampa together.
People, him and Travis Kelce. Although I'll say, and I'm a very fair person. I think I'm 3. I'm number 3 of those guys as far as hotness. I would go me to Kiermaier to Kelce.
Okay, have you ever been near Travis Kelce?
I met him once, I believe, in Kansas City.
Okay. Yeah, so I've talked to him a couple of times, right? I mean, had him on the desk after the Super Bowl, after Super Bowl 54 win. and then met him. He's a Cleveland guy.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so he played in the celebrity softball game. He was a good baseball player, actually. He hit one out at Progressive Field in high school when he played for Cleveland Heights High. He was good. Yeah, good player.
That's awesome.
Yeah. You are nowhere close dimension-wise to Travis Kelce.
No, he's a big boy.
He's a big boy.
He is a big boy.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Anything coming up on John Boy Media that we should know?
Well, we're doing Talking Baseballs twice a week. We have one that just came out. We talked about the Arraez trade and the Jazz Chisholm move to center field. Had some fun with that. And then we're starting our team profile and projections. That's why we're gonna have to move baseball today to tomorrow, because we got to binge these things. We're doing 30 episodes. They're all about 15 to 25 minutes long, depending on the teams, and it's a lot of work, but we're excited to start it. And that's starting on Thursday. I think it'll be released early February.
Okay, good. Those will be excellent to listen to. Very, very digestible as well. Latest episode of the Rose Rotation with the chess master himself, Joey Votto. Yeah, he was really good.
That's one of your best.
On a bunch of stuff. Yeah, I would say it was one of our best episodes because of the breadth of things that it covered. He went to Brazil this offseason to go get his first tattoo at age 39. And the story behind it is really remarkable. It's really unreal. I kind of start off by saying, Joey, you had to go to Brazil to go get a tattoo? Like you couldn't have gotten one in Toronto or in Cincinnati? He's like, no. And he explained why it was very specific and very important to him. It's an excellent, excellent story that he's got there. He tells us why he had 10, I think he had tickets to 10 World Cup soccer matches that he canceled at the last minute. He was going to Dubai and Abu Dhabi and all that sort of stuff, and he canceled at the last minute. Really, really good stuff. So that's coming out. Just caught up with Lucas Giolito last night. That'll be out next week. We'll talk more about that either tomorrow or next week. So, thanks to everybody for hanging out with us. If you want to join us live on the days that we do Baseball Today, please join us on the AMP app, which you can download on your iPhone, and that gives you a chance to mix it up with us and ask questions and comments and concerns and all sorts of stuff. So for our one-of-a-kind producer, the shit-talking Dan Rourke, and my man Trevor Plouffe, I am Chris Rose. We will see you Wednesday on Baseball Today.